Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Here are the top stories we're tracking for you on Monday, the 18th of January. Second round of Quadrilateral meeting held to discuss Afghan peace process. 5 security personnel killed in a bomb blast in Pakistan. An Indian foreign minister holds talks with Israeli top leadership to boost ties. And now for all the details, the Afghan government has invited Taliban to the negotiating table for Afghan peace process. Afghanistan has been seeking to end the almost 15 years of war with the Taliban.
The second meeting of the Quadrilateral Contact Group, comprising of Afghanistan, Pakistan, United States and China on the Afghan peace and reconciliation process, was held in Kabul on Monday. The talks were aimed at laying out a roadmap for bringing Taliban to negotiating table with the Afghan government and finding political solution to lingering crisis in the war-torn country.
به نمایندگی از مردم و حکومت افغانستان از همه گروه‌های طالبان دعوت نماییم که پیام ما به صلح را پذیرفته به میز گفتگو حضور یابند تا بتوانیم همه اختلافات را به گونه سیاسی حل کنیم.
Taliban has been keeping away from joining the peace talks largely because of infightings triggered by the death of long-time leader Mullah Omar.
هر گونه تأخیر طالبان برای آمدن به میز گفتگوها آنها را در دید مردم افغانستان به انزوای بیشتر خواهد برد. آنهایی که فرصت پیش آمده برای پیوستن به روند صلح را از دست می‌دهند به گونه آشکار ثابت می‌سازند که یک افغانستان دارای حاکمیت، استقلال، ثبات، صلح و رفاه به نفع آنها نیست و اهداف آنها دهشت افغانی و ویرانگری می باشد.
The first meeting of the Quadrilateral Contact Group was held in Islamabad last week. The talks come as Taliban intensifies insurgency, trying to recapture many parts of the country.
Early on Sunday, President Ashraf Ghani vowed to take strong action against insurgents who planned and executed the Jalalabad attack on a gathering of people at a politician's home. The attack came on eve of the 4-country talks over peace negotiations.
As Afghan government was gearing for the quadrilateral meet in Kabul, a suicide bomber struck a gathering of tribal elders at a prominent politician's home in the volatile eastern province of Nangarhar, killing 14 people and injuring many around. The attack prompted Afghan President Ashraf Ghani to warn that the security forces will go after the culprits with all their strength. When terrorists lose the ability to fight face-to-face with our security forces, then they target public places and kill our innocent people, Mr. Ghani said in a statement. The government will fight those who shed the blood of our innocent people, he added. The bombing is the second deadly attack in the city since Wednesday, when the Islamic State group's militants claimed responsibility for a 4-hour gun and bomb siege targeting the Pakistani consulate.
Staying on news from the country, the parliamentary elections in Afghanistan will be held in October this year. Parliament's 5-year term expired in June last year, but choosing a new assembly was delayed due to political squabbling. Security reservations and disagreements on how to ensure a fair vote after a bitterly disputed presidential election in 2014 were the main concerns. President Ashraf Ghani issued a decree last year extending Parliament's mandate until a vote could be held. The decision was criticized by Afghans who questioned whether the extension was legal. The election is likely to be held on October 15th, confirmed officials.
سینمی ماده قانون امروز ما اعلام می‌نمایم که انتخابات ولسی جرگه و شورای ولسوالی ها به تاریخ 24 میزان سال 1395 دایر می‌گردد. از طریق این تریبیون از حکومت و سایر نهادهای ذی دخل می‌خواهد که در موارد آتی با کمیسیون مستقل انتخابات همکاری همه جانبه نماید. اول فراهم نمودن بودجه مورد نیاز در وقت و زمان مشخص آن. دو تامین امنیت رای دهندگان، کاندیدان، کارمندان انتخابات، مراکز و محلات رایدهی و مواد انتخاباتی.
Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull has announced that the country will extend military deployment in Afghanistan as part of the NATO-led force to assist the Afghan forces to fight rising insurgency in the country.
Australia will increase the number of Australian troops in Afghanistan to 270 to help the Afghan police and army forces maintain security in the country. The announcement came during the surprise day-long visit of Prime Minister Turnbull to Kabul on Sunday. He also met Australian personnel at Kargha, the Afghan National Army Officers Academy, and appreciated their contribution to help the Afghan troops.
There is nowhere that is a long, we say Afghanistan's a long way from Australia, and it is, and I'm sure you feel it is, particularly when you're missing your families, but it is, everything's very close and very connected. So enabling Afghanistan to be safer, to be more secure, to be able to defend itself with their own people is absolutely critical to the world's security and indeed to ours.
Turnbull also met Afghan President Ashraf Ghani and discussed various bilateral issues, including Australian cooperation with Afghanistan, war on terrorism, peace process, human rights, and the rights of women in the country. Australia has lost 41 soldiers in Afghanistan during its more than 12-year involvement in the conflict with insurgents following the US-led invasion in 2001.
Moving on, Pakistan's Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif and Army Chief General Raheel Sharif arrived in Riyadh in order to ease tension between arch rivals Saudi Arabia and Iran. The Prime Minister is scheduled to meet Saudi King Salman before heading to Tehran on Tuesday to meet Iran's President Hassan Rouhani. Tensions between the two countries recently escalated after Saudi Arabia executed a prominent Shiite Muslim cleric and opposition leader earlier this month. Angry crowds in Iran stormed the Saudi embassy and Riyadh severed diplomatic relations with Tehran in protest. Islamabad has avoided taking sides in the escalating dispute as it wrestles with its own sectarian tensions at home and works to bolster economic ties with both countries. Sharif's trip to Saudi Arabia follows the visit of both the Saudi Foreign Minister and Deputy Crown Prince to Islamabad last week. 5 security personnel were killed and 2 others injured in a bomb explosion in Quetta city of Balochistan province in Pakistan on Monday.
The IED explosives were targeted at a security forces convoy on roadside in Margat area. A search operation has been launched in the area to nab the suspected terrorists. The attack comes only days after a suicide bomber targeted a polio vaccination center in Quetta on January 13th, killing 15 people, mostly policemen. The responsibility of the attack was claimed by Tehreek-e-Taliban. Balochistan is home to a raging insurgency that has claimed the lives of hundreds of soldiers and militants, with ethnic Baloch nationalists and Taliban carrying out attacks.
Former Pakistan President Pervez Musharraf has been acquitted in the murder case of Baloch leader Nawab Akbar Bukti by an anti-terrorism court on Monday. Bukti was killed during a military crackdown ordered by Musharraf, who was president and army chief at the time. The pleas of Akbar Bukti's eldest son to exhume the buried corpse and carry out DNA tests to ascertain that it was his father's body has also been rejected by the court. Musharraf was indicted in the murder case in January 2015. He is currently out on bail on a number of other high-profile cases, including the assassination of former Prime Minister Benazir Bhutto and a case related to the detention of judges. Meanwhile, Indian Foreign Minister Sushma Swaraj met top leadership of Israel during her 2-day visit to the country. Her visit is seen as a build-up to the much-awaited trip of Prime Minister Narendra Modi to the region.
Indian Foreign Minister Sushma Swaraj on Monday held bilateral talks with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Both the leaders vowed to enhance ties between the two nations. Swaraj visit comes after Indian President Pranab Mukherjee made a visit to the country in October last year.
India attaches the highest importance to the full development of wide-ranging ties with Israel. Our bilateral cooperation has developed well in a number of areas over the past 2 decades, but the potential of our relations is much more.
Netanyahu stated that the two countries will continue to intensify their contacts and cooperation in fields such as science and technology, cyber, defense, and agriculture.
The future belongs to those who innovate. Israel and India are at the cutting edge of so many areas of innovation. And by working together, we can do a lot more for our peoples and for the world.
Swaraj also met Israeli President Reuven Rivlin and discussed various issues including terrorism. Even though India and Israel have been sharing warm bilateral relations for a long time, their ties reached a new height since Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi came to power in May 2014. The two countries since then have signed a series of defense and technology deals that have underscored their burgeoning commercial and political relationship.
The Maldivian government's decision to allow jailed ex-President Mohammad Nasheed for a medical trip to UK has run into jeopardy after authorities demanded a family member of his to remain in Mali until his return.
A row over criminal liability for his family has cast a shadow on Nasheed's visit to UK for a spine surgery. His lawyers accuse the Abdullah Yameen government of backtracking at the last minute after it unconditionally approved Nasheed's foreign trip to UK for medical care on Saturday. Nasheed's representatives on Sunday said that the Maldivian authorities were demanding one of his relatives to stay behind in Maldives and sign a document that would make them criminally liable if he does not return within 30 days. Changing the terms of the deal at the last moment, let alone by insisting on holding a family member of his hostage until he returns, is totally unacceptable, said Jared Genzer, founder of Freedom Now and counsel to Nasheed. Nasheed has refused to compromise on someone else's safety. Nasheed, who is the first democratically elected president of Maldives, has been serving 13 years jail term on terror conviction since March last year. His arrest has triggered political turmoil in Maldives, with many international communities like the UN, EU Parliament and Amnesty accusing the government of denying fair trial to him and demanding his immediate release.
Well, that's the way it was in South Asia this evening. Before we conclude, the top stories once again. Second round of Quadrilateral meeting held to discuss Afghan peace process. 5 security personnel killed in a bomb blast in Pakistan. An Indian foreign minister holds talks with Israeli top leadership to boost ties. Now our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/SAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter @SAsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Good night.